Hello, good morning and welcome to Business Daily. I am Yusuf Akogo. Let's take our commodity prices for the day. Glad to have you back. Now we go straight into our discussion for the day. Of course, one key sector that is critical to economic growth and development is the power sector. So much has been done by governments, several governments to ensure that this sector works properly. But again, it seems quite a whole lot still needs to be done going ahead. And indeed, the current government is actually focusing on ensuring that that sector works, because if you want to industrialize, you need to get the power sector to work appropriately. And I have joining me in the studio the former acting managing director of Transmission Company of Nigeria, Alhaji Atiku Tambowa, to discuss this. Good morning and welcome to Business Daily.
Good morning, viewers.
Yes, glad to have you again. Let's start this way. Power sector is critical. So much has gone into this sector in terms of investment, not forgetting the $16 billion under the Obasanjo government. And of course, so much has been done, the privatization and so many other, but yet we are still not getting it right. Where is the problem?
Well, thank you very much. It's quite a very heavy question you have thrown on me. We have all witnessed the happenings in the power sector, and as you rightly said, a lot of investment has gone into the sector, yet we have not seen the desired results. I think it's multidimensional, the problems, but it can be categorized into three, just in line with the power sector thing. Generation is there, the transmission is also there, and you have, of course, the distribution sector. Each one has its own merit problems, and a lot is being done to address it. When you look at the generation, we can say that at the moment, with the privatization that has been done, so far we can generate up to 13,000 megawatts. Even though that is just meager, what Nigeria needs is nothing less than 100,000 megawatts to survive our economy. So we are just generating 13,000. And out of the 13,000, what are we
even distributing?
Between 3,000 to 4,000. The maximum that was transmitted, I know, was sometimes in
around 6,000 or
5,400 plus.
Exactly.
We are yet to get to 6,000. So what is the reason for this? There are many reasons, because we use fuel to generate this power, and essentially gas, natural gas, and water, of course, through our hydros. Those ones contribute only 30% or less. About 70% comes from gas. And if we are not getting this sufficiently, it means you cannot realize the generation potential that you have. Most of the issues arising there from is that there's insufficiency. You know, domestically, we're not getting the gas because part of it is being exported. And even the one that is being supplied through the Nigerian gas company to the generation companies is being paid for in dollars. And the final returns that this generation company gets is naira from what I pay and you pay for electricity. All those problems have been there. How do they not get spare parts if they are to buy in black market and they are not given due recognition that time when we have parallel market? So you are compelling them to pay in dollars and they are collecting money in naira. So a lot of issues there, coupled to the fact that there are a lot of maintenance and other technicalities in the gas delivery. So that's why we need energy mix of different categories. Renewables are there. We are not tapping it fully.
Absolutely.
Yeah, solar is part of renewable too.
Absolutely. That's talking about mini grid.
Mini grid.
In some part of the northern Nigeria, some say we are not even harnessing the sunlight, the advantage that we have with the sunlight properly in the northern Nigeria. What are we doing in the area of mini grid? Though I know that is not really your purview, but as somebody with a power sector experience, you should be able to talk
now that we have mentioned it, I'm just trying to continue to lead you up to distribution aspect, because we are talking of problems in the power sector.
Absolutely.
So
go ahead.
The distribution, I mean, the generation, like I said, if we can harness this solar, renewables, wind, and solar, we would get somewhere. So I'm happy to say that the new Electricity Act, which was signed by Mr. President, has empowered the states to go ahead and generate. Hitherto, it was the purview of the federal government. So now they can. So they can bring in investors, they can set up 100 kilowatt, 1 megawatt, 2 megawatt, up to whatever. This solar is scalable. So if they have that investment and the finances, they can go ahead and do that. They can transmit within their own states. So you can reduce the level of pressure on the national grid. So that is one of the advantages of that new act. Then when you come to transmission, transmission is the aspect that has been retained by the government so far, and a lot is being expended on it. Yet we are not seeing the results. Possibly because the way and manner this project are cited are not in the best interest of Nigeria, where it can wield the power to where it is required. We have enough capacity. Like I said, I know we can transmit up to close to 8,000 megawatts now. So up to now, the challenge is not yet on transmission, as far as I'm concerned, because that has not been injected into the grid, the 8,000 megawatts I'm talking about. So if it is there and then transmission cannot wield, then we can say it has its own limitation. But so far, the limitation is not that much on transmission. So when it comes to distribution aspect, that is where it matters. Because even if I want to consume electricity, if my transformer feeding me is faulty, there is no way electricity will reach my house. So that is an issue where this privatization has failed to address aggressively. Most of the assets they have inherited from the legacy, from the PSCN, are the same old assets that they are using. So how can they be able to wheel out power? If they cannot expand their line, they cannot have additional injection substation, talk less of ordinary distribution transformer, which feeds you and me. My house,
but now, in this case, now is it now a question of investment? Because like we said at the beginning, so much has been invested. Where is the money? Who is drinking the money?
Well, like I said, it's a question of investment. When they came in as a private owners, they gave their own business plan, and they showed that they are going to expand from MBA or KBA capacity to They failed to do it. So you see, on that aspect, they are not living up to expectation. And when it comes to even maintenance, maintaining the existing one, they are not properly maintained. So they keep on deteriorating, and in most cases, you see that it is a customer that will be asked to come and pay for fuse or to pay for fuel to go and repair his line. So that is all failures of the distribution sector, as they have indicated that when it comes to private hand, it will be properly and better managed. But we are seeing otherwise. Then when it comes to issue of payment of electricity, they are supposed to collect what whoever a customer consumes. But they cannot, because there are a lot of losses. They are not properly metered. There are a lot of issues there.
Absolutely. We'll go to the metering issue very shortly. But let's look at the Electricity Act now. Now, with some of the myriad of issues that you have enumerated now, we now have a new act that was signed into law by the new president, by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
That's right.
Now, this has given power to states to generate, distribute, and of course, transmit their own power. To what extent would this solve the problem of the power sector?
To a large extent, it will. like I said, when you look at the challenges in the national grid.
For instance, where does that leave Abuja Disco, Eco Disco, and many other discos that we have?
Yes. When you look at the national grid, if you cannot wheel out power and get it across to all the states, now that's a leverage. There's opportunity for states. Look at their own area and see how they can now improve the transmission and distribution network so that you can have 24/7-hour supply. So if they can do that investment, or they can get those who can set up mini grids, for example, they are free to come and even collect the money, the revenue. That is why it matters. The liquidity of the sector, it comes from the sale of electricity. Absolutely. So if they can sell electricity optimally to get up to 100% collection efficiency, no losses, then there they go. They can recover the investment. Whoever put in any investment can recover it in the shortest possible time. Right now, we are having, on the average, 45% losses in the electricity market.
And these are actually, because the distribution arm of the electricity, that is where the revenue actually comes through.
Exactly.
Now, with the kind of separation that we have now, we have the generation, the distribution, and of course the transmission. All these three work in synergy for us to have power. Now let's look at the issue of metering now. We've been talking about this for some time, and still yet over millions of Nigerian households have not yet been metered. Many of them are still relying on the estimated billing, and most times are actually bogus. Why can't we meter everybody? And don't you think that would be easy for the distribution company to rake in more revenue? Because you pay as you consume.
Yeah, right. Well, you just put in a question which is very pertinent. Why can't we meter everybody? The reason why we cannot meter anybody is because of the investment involved in metering everybody. When anyone applies for to be connected to a grid or to a distribution company, he first of all register and indicate his own load. So it will be advised the type of meter he is going to procure. And this procurement of the meter is actually not the responsibility of the customer. It's supposed to be procured by the distribution company. Place on it because they are measuring your consumption. You are not supposed to pay for that meter. It's just like filling station. You can't go with your own filling machine.
Exactly.
Yes. So since this is not possible, how do we now come and meter? There are a lot of initiatives that has been put in place to see to the closure of this metering gap. When the distribution companies were privatized, part of the requirements is that they should meter to a certain level of percentage. That time we know that percentage of unmetered. We said, okay, for each year you have to close the metering gap to this percentage. And they signed with BPE before they were given this chance. And most of them have failed woefully. They did abysmally low in terms of this metering. So that is not all. Government has looked at many initiatives. How can we support? How can they support this metering initiative? So that's a time they even announced that it is pre-metering. Yes, so they come up with Nigerian mass metering project.
Absolutely.
Which they have started, they imported, I mean, they acquired close to 1 million meters. And they were given to customers free of charge, which is supposed to be. So it's not free, if I say, to the distribution company, because eventually, since this money is from CBN, they will pay back in time.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I want to look at is the issue of, we have local meter manufacturers in Nigeria who are even worried that the government is trying to concession the metering to some foreign companies, looking at the loan that they intend to take from the World Bank. What is the fate of this local meter manufacturer? Why are we not patronizing the local content?
Okay, I'm coming to it. That's why I started with giving a background on the metering issue. So with this coming up of government to support, close this metering gap, in that phase, it has now allowed everybody, every vendor who has the capability to bring in meters. They targeted 1 million meters, but they are able to get only about 700,000 or 800,000 meters that time for those who have it in stock or who can import it immediately. So this second phase, which is coming through the government, the same initiative, they said they are now going to consider only local manufacturers, as you said, to encourage them. And that is what we are waiting for. We are, they have done the evaluation to acquire up to 4 million meters out of the about 7.8 million meters that we have as a gap. Those people, customers under estimation. So if we are able to procure and distribute these 4 million meters, I think it will go a long way. That does not end there. There are other initiatives also by the distribution companies itself, particularly Abuja, where my director, I know, we have been procuring on our own, but the fund to support it is not easy, even for the distribution companies. So there's also another aspect, which is meter asset providers, whereby if you feel you have the capability to import these meters, we patronize you and give you areas where you can go and meter the customers. So for those customers who want to get metered immediately and they cannot wait for this free meter, they are free to go through this meter asset providers and pay for the meter so that they can be metered immediately. So that's one step. And even that one, NEC has made it mandatory, even though I don't know whether it has started, that if you pay for that meter, you will be paid back
in your electricity consumption,
over a period of time.
But in most cases, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's what I said. It may not have started, but it is there in the order of NEC. So any customer who has paid for it has the right to go and challenge the distribution company to give him his credit back in energy for the payment of that meter. So those are some of the measures that are taken. Then coming back to your latest assertion that there is this bid going around, I think it is by World Bank, about $155 million given to TCL.
$1.2 million.
1.2. Okay. So whatever it is, they are now supposed to procure through under this World Bank and distribute to the distribution company. In fact, the bidding is in lots. So about 2 distribution companies per lot also.
Lot 4 is to raise a bid security of $450,000.
Yes, that is one of the issues that has to be addressed, because by so doing, I think it has demoralized the local manufacturers.
Absolutely.
Because they may not have that financial capability to issue. And also, if you say they have to do it, what about the money they use in establishing the business in Nigeria, the local content, which Nigeria, everybody has been encouraging, promoting. And now you are killing that morale. Which means if you say it is only those companies in China, in India, and other places that can raise that bid security and participate in the bid, which means you have eliminated this local participant.
Absolutely.
So to me, it's not the right decision. They could have even give a waiver to all those who are manufacturing locally to participate with those. We need these numbers. And I'm not too sure whether the local manufacturers can even supply the required numbers. Yes. So let's have an arrangement whereby we can support each other. The local manufacturers should be given this waiver of this.
But is it a question of government not believing in local products, as has been the case with Nigeria?
I don't think so. I think I've not read the condition of the World Bank, whether it is World Bank that imposed that. But whatever it is, we are going to pay back the loan. In Nigeria's money is going to be used. So Nigeria...
I think their concern is that they have to submit their bid in dollars.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Even if it is to be submitted in Naira, there is still money that is required. So what I'm saying, for those vendors who are willing to import from outside, let them do that. But for local manufacturers, encourage them, waive out this condition for them so that they can participate in the bid. Even if they are to supply half of the requirement, you import half of the requirement. At least it's a win-win instead of discouraging them.
Absolutely, quite a whole lot of issues there in the power sector. I must thank you, Alhaji Atiku Tambuwal, former acting MD, Transmission Company of Nigeria, for your submission on Business Daily today. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Yes. With that, it's a wrap on the show today. Join us tomorrow for more, but I leave you with the graphics of Nigerian stock market data. I am Yusuf Akogu.